Hi, I'm Kim Richardson, a professional genealogist who helps you organize and plan your research to break down brick wall problems. Have you ever found a conflict in your research? Maybe you have two dates for one event, or you have two different names, or you have that a person lived in this town on this date, but at the same time you found somewhere else that it says they lived in that town on the same date. You don't know which one is right. Does it matter? Are those conflicts important enough to derail our research or to call into question the credibility of our research? Or are they just not really that important at all? The genealogical proof standard has 5 cornerstones that are very, very important. And one is that we do very thorough research. So we do make sure that we have consulted everything that we can for the research question at hand, that we record our sources in some way, that we note what our sources are, that we do some analysis and correlation of all of the information that we find to draw a picture, to understand what was going on in our ancestors' life, and to put all of the pieces together in a very analytical way and correlate all of them together. And then there is one that says that we must resolve conflicts. That's how important it is. It stacks right up there with the rest of these things. The fifth one is that we will write up our research. Writing up your research is, in my opinion, the best brick wall busting method out there, but it is also one of the cornerstones of the genealogical proof standard. It says that we must write up our research. So now that we know that it's important, I'm going to walk you through how I do that, what my process is, by way of an example of a conflict in my own research. My 3 times great-grandfather's death certificate says that he died 2 days before his headstone says he died. And so there's a conflict there. The first thing that I do whenever I have a conflict, no matter what the conflict is I look at the nature of the conflict. And I just think about that a little bit. Is this a conflict that is so big that it is going to completely derail my research? Or does it look like it's something as simple as a transcription error or just a typo or some little misspelling or something like that? And so in this particular situation, I think of it like it's a typo. It's on a headstone, but it could be a typo on a headstone. It could be a typo on a death certificate. And so there's a typo mistake somewhere, I think, is that the date on one or the other is just a little bit misrepresented, probably not maliciously at all, an honest mistake like a typo type mistake. So now that I understand the nature of the conflict, the next thing that I want to do is see if I can look around and find other things that will support one or the other. So if I can find a couple more pieces of evidence that support the headstone, and I don't find anything to support the death certificate, then that may indicate to me that the headstone is accurate. Vice versa, if I find maybe an obituary in a family Bible that says the date on the death certificate is accurate, but I don't find anything that has the headstone date on it, then that tips the scales that way. So I want to look and see if I can come up with more evidence for one or the other. And in this situation, there's nothing else. This is it. This is all there is. And so that's where I am at that point. No matter what my conflict is, I always want to, after I look at the nature of the conflict and sort of look around and see if I can find something else to support one or the other, I want to look at the context of both of those records and do some analysis. So when I consider the headstone, I don't know who created that. It could have been his immediate family, and it could have been created right there on the same day that he died. It could have been created very accurately, but there is nothing anywhere to show that that's true. For all I know, it could have been created years after he died by someone who was not an immediate family member. I don't know. There are no records to tell me that. I've looked. I've looked for funeral home records. I've looked for records of a headstone order. There's nothing there. No obituary, no nothing. There's nothing to support this headstone date or to tell me who created it and when it was created. On the death certificate side, when I look at the death certificate, I know that that was an official governmental record. It was emphasized to the person who created the record how important the accuracy was, that it was created by a professional, a physician, who recorded that death date, who attended him at the time of his death and had notes about that. And so I have to look at where he was coming from or what his situation was. He was a professional who was in the business of doing this. He did this all the time, attending people at the time of their death and then recording their death date for official documentation. The records have been well kept since then. It is a good indication to me that it was created very carefully. So I have that record was created very carefully by people who knew what they were doing, and I don't know anything about the creation of this headstone. It may be exactly right. I have no idea. I don't know. And so that affects the credibility of one record over the other. I want to then look at, is there a way to determine a very simple, easy answer for this? So I've looked at the nature of the conflict. I have looked for other sources to answer the question. I have done some context type analysis of of all of the conflicting records. And now I want to look at, is there something that I could see here that would be an obvious explanation, a very simple explanation? And in this situation, it goes back to looking at the creation of both of those record types, where one is very carefully created and one was possibly not so carefully created. I really don't know. And so I look at that and I try to simplify that down and say that that's the information that I have to go on. And so the last thing that I want to do is document this. And I do that right there in my family tree. It stays right there with my research. It goes in my research folder, in my research notes, so that when somebody comes behind me and looks at my research, they can see exactly what I was dealing with. I'm being very open and very honest so that other people can go through that same analysis process that I did and determine for themselves whether they think that I did good analysis, whether they think that I accurately represented the situation. So I'm being very transparent, very honest, very responsible in how I present this information to other people. When you have a conflict, you want to consider the nature of the conflict. You want to try to do a little more research to see if you can figure out one or the other is the answer. You want to do some analysis of the context of the record creation for the two opposing pieces of the conflict. And you want to see if you can look at it and determine what a very simple answer or a very probable happening, the reason that the conflict exists, if at all possible, and always document that so that other people can follow right along with what you said and determine whether they agree with your analysis or not. Hey, if you want to see the proprietary system that I created, that I use to do my genealogy research, go check out brickwallbustercards.com. This kit is awesome. It walks you through doing genealogy research. It's like a coach in a box. So if you're just starting out, this is fabulous. It's going to walk you through step by step how to do good, solid research. If you are stuck on a brick wall problem, it is going to walk you through solving that brick wall and showing you the top brick wall busting methods to help you make progress and break down that brick wall. I'm going to link it for you below in the description, but it's at brickwallbustercards.com. Hey, please hit that like button down below. It helps more than you can know, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.